I know nothing.
Hi, your goddess Nazca here with Truckleman. We are watching some Devil May Cry remake leaks.
Wow, you're playing Resident Evil.
Cry Remake has leaked from Capcom. Now, there are dueling things at play here. It seems like one of two remakes is in production. But something...
Wait a minute. On Devil May Cry, it's not over the shoulder. You have to actually... It's like third person or...
What?
On Devil May Cry's gameplay.
Yeah.
Something is in the works for Devil May Cry. Either the first game...
It's no different than the gameplay that you saw.
No, I thought like over the shoulder, like, never mind.
No, it's not Fallout style.
Oh, okay.
It's like what we were doing with Final Fantasy VII.
Okay.
That's the gameplay.
Well, the third game is being remade according to both Devil May Cry voice actor Daniel Southworth and a 4chan post that ended up being proved, or half-proved, over time. The case for the Devil May Cry 3 remake comes from antagonist...
Hold on. Joker's gonna spank your butt, spank you on the butt.
I don't get that.
Sorry, Jester. Jester's gonna spank your butt. Lou would be so mad at me. Jester was the best character in Devil May Cry 3. I wish they brought him back. Jester's gonna spank your butt.
Virgil voice actor Daniel Southworth, like I mentioned, mentioning at Power Morphicon that he just finished a video game 3 or 4 weeks ago where they asked me to do my voice the way it was back in 2004 or whatever. It's worth noting that Devil May Cry 3 released in 2005, so he's only 1 year off if he's trying to refer to that time period. Southworth's direction at the time, according to him, was, can you do the younger Virgil version? And Daniel says it was challenging doing that. Now, the evidence for a Devil May Cry 1 remake relates to the 4chan leak that I mentioned before, not only bringing about a Devil May Cry remake in the style...
You know, it's kind of about time they've been remaking all the Resident Evils, so why not remake classic Devil May Cry?
I played on the PC.
Of the recent third-person Resident Evils, but a part of that leak was that a new Need for Speed would be mentioned by EA this week. Now, that's just happened, so a lot of people are thinking if that's true, then something else must be as well.
You want to play that game?
I get bored of Need for Speed after a while.
Oh, but I thought you liked the racing games.
Well, it had a story to it, but I just kind of got bored with it after a while.
As EA mentioned that as part of their earnings conference. And so more of that Devil May Cry 1 remake mentioned a story overhaul, apparently handling Virgil's character better, delving into doing the whole Resident Evil remake treatment for a Devil May Cry. Because if this is what Daniel Southworth is referring to, Virgil doesn't have any lines in DMC 1. Yeah. Like, other than just grunts. He doesn't even really...
Wait, Virgil was in Devil May Cry 1?
Other than some grunt.
I don't even remember his character at all being in Devil May Cry 1. You sure he didn't mean Devil May Cry 3? I don't even remember Virgil's existence in Devil May Cry 1. Maybe like a mention that Dante had a brother, but other than that, I can't even picture him even being in it. I'll have to ask my cousin at some point. She's the
Here as Virgil, he appears as Nello Angelo, like the main boss that's then revealed to be Virgil later on, and you hear little bits of flashback dialogue of Dante and Virgil as kids, but it's not really anything, it's just them receiving their amulets and whatever, because they're long-time rivals. So assumedly, if you're going back in doing the story stuff, you might flesh that scene out, and maybe that's what he was recording or something. All of this, though, actually I mentioned the DMC1 remake. The idea is that it will be remade in the RE engine, which is the ongoing engine that Capcom are using for almost everything. It would feature a new camera angle, which, God help me if they make it a Souls game.
No, that just
I'll be crying.
That just surely means going to the kind of DMC5.
What's the mode you can play in Devil May Cry called Dante Must Die?
I don't know. It has nothing to do with the camera angle.
Camera, if they had to change something, because one has a more... it's because it was obviously based on Resident Evil way back when.
Oh, yes.
It was a prototype from that. It kind of evokes that style.
Well, that depends on the location and why it's like that.
But they're gonna go to the like Resident Evil 4 we were playing, where it's constantly over your shoulder. You don't have to constantly.
That's gonna be weird, though. I don't think that's gonna work so well.
Or maybe have it where you can choose between.
Oh, I would be pissed if they turned Devil May Cry into a strict shooter. If I can't use my sword proper, I'm gonna be mad.
Oh, they'll still have sword, but no, have it where you switch between both camera modes. That way you can have the modern, like...
I guess.
Or you can have the old school for people who are psychotic.
I guess. Wait. You call me psychotic?
For one to play where it's like a camera on a building instead of, I don't know.
What?
A little bit more with the cuts between the different angles and such.
I hope.
They're not gonna make it a Souls
They
game.
better not. The Souls bubble has burst. I don't need any more of them. But it is a remade in the RE engine, like I said, new camera angle, an overhauled story, and improved graphics are the main takeaways from the overall leak. Now, all of this comes after Netflix's Devil May Cry adaptation is picking up
Oh yeah, Lou is so excited.
When's this supposed to come out?
They might say it.
steam. That's scheduled for April 3rd.
There you go.
Lots of trailers for that. Adi Shankar, the showrunner out there on Twitter, on social media, bigging the whole thing.
The one thing though Lou keeps complaining about
What?
is the English voice actor for Dante. She's upset about because it's Johnny Young Bosch,
Okay.
and Johnny Young Bosch is the voice of Nero, not Dante.
I don't know. One opinion on that?
Up. The adaptation that's coming to Netflix is apparently based on Devil May Cry 3's manga. So there's a lot more DMC 3 about to be in the works in the next few months,
Yeah.
which again points to the idea of remaking DMC 3. That's also the fan favorite, and it also includes a
course.
hell of a lot more of younger Virgil. So
Yeah. I will say this. I stopped caring about Devil May Cry after Devil May Cry 3. Devil May Cry 3 was the best game. I loved the gameplay, the different weapons and stuff you could use, the personality, the story, like I said, the villain character Jester. That was fun. It was a very, very fun one.
Didn't they make a Devil May Cry anime already?
Oh yeah, that one's more of an animated movie.
Yeah, but
Yeah, Lou
I
has
didn't feel like
that.
I don't think they could capture Dante's personality in that when I was watching it. Well, just watch that little trailer right there. It looks like they capture his personality better.
Well, for Devil May Cry 3 standard. In Devil May Cry 1, you've never seen or played Devil May Cry 1, Dante's personality is a little more stoic.
Yeah.
Versus Devil May Cry 3 is him more childish because he's he's younger.
Ah.
But then they kept him being more playful, like when they made, I guess Devil May Cry 5 is the one I'm thinking of, or 4. But yeah, they kept his personality more playful, and I guess in a sense kind of retcon his stoicness that he had back in 1.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and then no one likes to talk about 2 for whatever reason.
Or the DMC Dante. You know.
Well, that's not even Devil May Cry. That one's not even Devil May Cry. That's not even.
if you're doing that character, it just makes more sense to, well, in this degree, to remake 3. Even
Yes.
though if you were going to do this, you might as well remake 1, and then, I mean, you probably wouldn't do anything with 2, but I guess you would carry on from the beginning and go.
I feel bad because my very first Devil May Cry was Devil May Cry 2, and I liked 2. Devil May Cry 2 was good. It had good gameplay and stuff. I mean, I know it doesn't really correlate to the story, I guess. I don't know. I liked Devil May Cry 2. Also, the dialogue was so funny with the villain, and he goes, "I will be the king of the world!" The dubbing was so shit. It sounded like he was taking a shit while he was saying that.
Forward.
I want to see both. I want to be greedy, and I want to throw my letter of interest to Capcom right now because, yeah, I think that 3 kind of, it's easier, quote unquote, to adapt that. It's kind of like if they were to, well, when they remade Resident Evil 4, right? A lot of people were saying, do you even need to remake this game? Surely you could just remaster it or port it because it still holds up. It still looks gorgeous. Still plays really well. Like you can play Devil May Cry 3 now and have a fantastic time in the same way you can play the old Resident Evil 4. But I think it would make sense to remake because, like you said, it is that fan favorite. But also, without
Right.
spoiling too much,
Also, here's a reason why remake.
Why?
Money.
Yeah.
They have no more ideas. So instead of trying to reboot or change up or add a new story to a franchise that will just probably make people mad, like they did with DMC, instead of doing that, they just take the old thing and just revamp it because it's like, hey, you guys love this. We're just gonna revamp it, like what Disney was trying to do with its fucking live action shit. But
Don't even talk about that.
they neglect to know what was what was the reason why people liked the old stuff in the first place? And then they just ruin it all. They just ruin it all.
I could bring up the what is it? How to Train Your Dragon. They're remaking that into a live action, even though that's gonna be 90% CGI.
Well, yeah, because of no. The fucking live action Lion King makes no goddamn sense.
Then with Foss, I heard that bombed so bad.
Really? Okay, good. Because that was I tried watching it for free. By the way, I'm not paying for that, but I tried watching that and it was abysmal. I got bored quick and it's like, yep, I'm done. Anyway.
It links very nicely into Devil May Cry 5 as well, so if they can kind of bring it up to that in terms of graphical parity, you could have them as a nice double hitter in terms of,
I think that
especially in
still
terms
looks
of the
good.
Dante and Virgil characters and their kind of arcs. I think that would
I mean,
be
it looks like
very
PS2.
sick to do.
It is.
Yeah,
a PS2.
I wonder how many irons have been put back in the fire because of the assumed return of over-the-top stylish action shooters, like action games. That genre, other than spectacle fighter, hasn't really been given a proper label over the years. Like, that's
Yeah.
the nearest thing we get to. But there are obviously so many games coming out. Ninja Gaiden 4 got announced. Phantom Blade 0 is going to be coming out, and obviously there was the Ninja Gaiden Black Shadow Drop. So I wonder if that conversation is heating up a little bit. Devil May Cry was one.
Okay, to be fair, if we ever do get and play Devil May Cry, the remake we'll be getting it on PC.
Yeah.
I'm not a big Devil May Cry fan. I like it. My cousin's the big one. Ooh, she begged us to get her a $600 fucking Dante statue.
One of
Very
the
pissed
names in
back.
that space,
Yeah.
alongside God of War for most of the 2000s before the likes of Bayonetta came along. So it kind of makes sense if you're reading the tea leaves of where the industry is going to go to get this stuff back out there. Plus, horrifyingly, it has been 20 years since DMC was active.
Yeah.
It's these original installments anyway, because then you get into DMC 4 territory, which wasn't received very well, and then there was the reboot that everybody hated, or at least a portion of the internet did at the time, including me at the time. I was able to accept that damn thing.
Ugly, total, just insult to the fans. Stupid.
They tried. This is the start of the modern audience.
They butchered his whole lore too. God, he looks hideous. As the fucking PlayStation 2 graphics look better than that. Ugh.
After DMC 5 got everything back on track.
Yuck.
But I feel like the franchise itself has had a bit of a rocky road, but it was at its
Yeah.
strongest back in the middle of the 2000s.
No one, if they do go down the DMC3 route, seems to start, if they're remaking a franchise, at the beginning anymore, Scott Tilton. You know, Capcom
Metal Gear Solid
themselves-
3 just
yeah,
give it
Capcom
a-
jumped in with Metal Gear with their Resident Evil 2, and then now we're getting Metal Gear Solid 3. So I would like to see them get to 3 eventually. I really would. But to me, I just think there's so much more potential in remaking 1. That is a game that I like, but it is, like those old Resident Evil games in terms of not just the technical limitations of the time, but the sort of preferred gameplay approaches of the time as well. And I think there is so much scope to adapt that original PS1 game into the more modern DMC style that we have.
Wait. PS1 game?
They're talking about the Resident Evil game.
Oh.
Didn't you say you tried to play the original Resident Evil? And
Oh
you
yeah, I
couldn't-
had it.
You never played the one on.
No, I had it for the PlayStation 1.
You never could play it.
I tried. I ended up giving it to my friend because I was like, I'm never playing this game.
Have more perhaps associated with the franchise as a whole, and like you said, because you don't really have that story in there in terms of the overt relationship between Nero and Dante, you can flesh that out a bit more as well, so yeah, you can flesh that out a little bit more as well, which I think has a lot of potential.
The thing to round this off is that Capcom have this overall revisiting their history thing, and obviously in Resident Evil, the next installment will be RE5, which is like a potentially divisive installment. I enjoyed it enough when I first went through it. RE6 is the one that a lot of people bounced off. I want them to take up the challenge of remastering or remaking, revisiting the games that didn't hit the mark, and then go, okay, what were the footnotes? What were the original plans? Why didn't we hit it? And
The funny thing is, they think that they're going to actually take the time to... I don't know. It really depends on the game developer, I guess. and it's like most of the time I feel like it's just a cash grab.
Yeah, some do feel like cash grabs. I don't know what do you think? Because we've been playing the remake of Final Fantasy VII and the remake of Resident Evil 4 lately.
Uh-huh.
I mean, Resident Evil 7 needed to be remade because obviously it was just the limitation of the PlayStation 1 back in the day versus
You mean, you said Resident Evil 7.
Resident Evil.
Yeah, I'm like,
Final
what the fuck are you
Fantasy.
talking? Oh, Final Fantasy 7. That's what you
Yeah,
meant
the
to
remake
say.
and rebirth because back then those games just they had limitations. With
Yeah,
the software.
I will agree. Final Fantasy 7 being remade is completely viable.
Versus say Crisis Core, was it remade or remastered for the Switch?
It was just remastered, and I guess it had a tiny little bit of tweaking. But it's essentially the exact same game as the PSP version.
Yeah, no one has a PSP anymore, let's face it.
I can't even play my PSP because my battery exploded.
Can we
Need
do it
new
better?
PSP
DMC2's development is notorious for being incredibly haphazard. Like, it started development right as DMC1 ended. It was a different team. There were various different directions the character was going to go in. That's why Dante is a completely different individual in 2 than he is in 1.
Yeah.
And so it's like that thing with Resident Evil. I'm like, can you unify this time?
Oh wait, in Devil May Cry 1, was Dante a little silly still? Maybe I'm just thinking of Devil May Cry 2 where he was stoic. Huh. I can't remember how he acted in Devil May Cry 1 now. I could have sworn he was stoic too. Weird.
Line going forward again. Does anyone want Devil May Cry 2 again?
Yeah.
I don't even know if you could make that work. I like the stuff that they brought in regards to wall running and backflips and like the mid-air pistol shooting downward stuff. I remember thinking that was cool, but I also thought DMC2 played like ass.
Yeah, but make
Oh,
it
really?
good now when you have something to build off. Like, I always feel like DMC2 being canonically, I think, the final game in the timeline, always, to me, kind of limited what they could do. Like, in terms of making sequels, you have a kind of Star Wars situation now where everything has to come between, like, DMC3 and DMC2 in terms of its timeline, right? So, if you redo DMC2 and make it more interesting,
Actually make a game
make
this
it
time.
better.
Yeah,
Actually,
that'd
make
be
a
great.
game this time.
I'm like, go ahead, redcon the story of Devil May Cry 2. I'm not attached to that, but I actually had fun with the gameplay. Huh.
Maybe then you can rehabilitate the second game's image and its story, and then if we ever get a DMC 6 or a 7, we can properly propel forward.
Maybe there's something so weird about like early 2000s attitude stuff coming back, where I feel like the internet is so much more sarcastic, so much more aware of that stuff in a way that it's really hard to do that style of comedy or that tone in a.
I do miss the Attitude Era, kind of the internet, late 90s, early 2000s.
D-Generation X.
Yeah, that especially in wrestling or anything in general. It's just like everybody got soft. Everybody got
Oh, everyone's pussies now.
then we can take a joke.
Genuine way where it doesn't just feel like you're doing internet comedy. Like Devil May Cry predates the rise of all that stuff and predates meme culture and everything else, and I love it for that. But yeah, I'm curious how the hell you even do a new Devil May Cry. But I'm curious to see how the show lands and what that kind of turn.
5 wasn't a crazy amount of time ago, you know.
No,
that
it's 2019.
has obviously endured through next-gen patches that it's received, so they pulled it off, at least in my opinion. I'm not the most die-hard Devil May Cry fan. I have played all the games, but, you know, I'm a Ninja Gaiden guy.
I must say though, like I said, I dropped ship after Devil May Cry 3. So I need to ask Lou if she ever played 5 or not. What is 5 for?
PS4. We could probably get it for maybe after we get
I'm
done.
pretty sure, I feel like she probably does have it. I need to ask her. She's the Devil May Cry expert here, not
We could
me.
probably get it for
He's the ninja guy.
But yeah. but even then, you know, I think DMC5 managed to, like you said, get the stink of the reboot well out the way, reintroduce these characters, even make people like Nero, like I mentioned, who wasn't really well received in DMC4. I thought he came across so much better in 5 and was actually way more compelling, had a better design and whatnot. So yeah, I feel like there's the desire there for DMC to come back, especially like you said, in this era where we have enjoyed stuff like Stellar Blade last year, and Capcom is on this winning streak with the likes of Dragon's Dogma selling really well, and obviously Resident Evil. We've got Monster Hunter coming out soon after we record this podcast, essentially just a few weeks. So why not revisit DMC, whether that's through a...
You know, I am kind of curious about Monster Hunter. Like, I played the PSP version of it.
I heard the creative character is so great. You actually can make anime characters in the game if you take the time.
See, that's the one thing I really liked about Monster Hunter, is because you could customize and stuff. But playing it on the PSP was a pain in the ass because you needed to have someone else to play it with you.
I'm not sure if it's like that with the new version, but I don't know.
Because
Maybe
otherwise you're too weak.
proper sequel, or give it the remake treatment, because it probably is the game franchise that Capcom owns, apart from Resident Evil, that is most ripe, I think, and most beloved to kind of return in that way and get the proper lavish remake treatment rather than the what do they call it, the deluxe remaster treatment that Dead Rising got. Although I still would take.
That's another game I wish they would actually do a proper like sequel. Is Dead Rising, because I played it. I played what, 2?
2's the only good one. Let's be honest here.
that to
2's
be
the
fair.
only good
Yeah,
Dead
I mean, I think,
Rising.
hopefully they're looking to reveal a lot more stuff towards the summer. Like, if the show's out in April, you get a lot more conversation around the IP. 2 generations worth of people going, what the hell is this thing? Looking to play the games. Like, probably did.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea. You got anime. You got updating the game. Get back that old thing. Yeah.
We need some more attitude in the world. That's basically what it needs. We need Dante level attitude comedy in the world.
Me.
I feel like that's been missing lately.
Well, that's for this episode. Thank you. Bye.